Ben Shapiro is continuing his DNC meltdown, and I'm going to go through and do some more fact checks. Not that Ben Shapiro actually makes claims, like we have nothing to actually go off of, but Ben Shapiro is going to say a bunch of things, and we're going to, explain why they're wrong.
Kamala Harris's top advisor, Gene Sperling, he was on Fox News with Neil Cavuto, and Cavuto asked him about, Kamala Harris and does she own any of the inflation problems of the last 4 years since she's the vice president of the United States and was the deciding vote on the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. Does she own any of it? And Gene Sperling's like, no, man, she's got vibes. She's so brat.
Is it possible that this administration should take some blame for the double-digit run-up in food prices alone? Any blame at all? Do you accept any blame? Should she accept any blame for that?
No, I think overwhelmingly what people are seeing is that the United States got through the recovery with greater jobs, greater growth. The global inflation that you talk about happened everywhere in the world.
Well, now that's a very true point. It's a good argument. Every country went through inflation. And Ben Shapiro brought up the Inflation Reduction Act, Kamala Harris casting the deciding vote. Now, this is the graph that everyone shares about that, and we saw that inflation crashed down after that. Prices are up everywhere. We still had this period of inflation that's not going to go away. Every single country had this. Gas prices went up in other countries more than they went up in the U.S. There's a lot of countries who suffered a lot higher prices in the U.S., and most of them are suffering higher prices than the U.S. is suffering now. And one thing that's underrated is due to policies like the Infrastructure Bill and the Inflation Reduction Act, wages in the U.S. are actually increasing a lot, so up to 20 to 30% across the board. So the buying power of Americans is not as bad as it seems when you just look at the inflation graph. That's not to say there are not still problems. There are still problems with affordability, but even Kamala talking right now about attacking, the housing issue and everything is the actual policy solution. I know Ben Shapiro is not going to provide arguments, but we need these arguments. We need to stay logical, about reality. The Inflation Reduction Act guaranteed higher subsidies for the ACA. That was extended through 2025. The extended subsidies that we did during the pandemic. That's how we got the cap on prescription drug prices that passed. The Medicare being able to negotiate with drug companies. A lot of good stuff happened in the Inflation Reduction Act. So Ben Shapiro is not going to say any of that, obviously. Let's see.
The global inflation that you talk about happened everywhere in the world.
Well, I noticed that you will take credit for 0 of her actual policies. 0. Now, the reality is that the kind of lie that they were propagating inside the Democratic National Convention Hall, which Tim Walz is sort of a Midwestern moderate.
Okay, we moved on already. Are we allowed to just do this now? Like, does Ben Shapiro have no audience that cares about him actually talking directly about these issues? He just, slid off of that topic without giving anything at all. Literally, he did not give one thing about this topic.
That they were propagating inside the Democratic National. Now, the reality is that the 0 of her actual policies.
Her actual policy helped. We know they helped. We know this stimulated the bottom of the economy. The Inflation Reduction Act also put a higher tax on corporations and also, I think, a 1% excise tax on stock buybacks. So these are really good things. Ben Shapiro's just going to, remember this, everyone. Ben Shapiro is known as the logical conservative, and look what he's doing.
0. Now, the reality is that the kind of lie that they were propagating inside the Democratic National Convention Hall, which Tim Walz is sort of a Midwestern moderate. Kamala Harris, she's a hard-charging, tough-on-the-border prosecutor who worked at McDonald's one time. Barack and Michelle Obama, they are just a charming couple, uninterested in power and totally interested in public service and unity. All of these lies were belied by what was going on outside.
Okay, I don't know anyone saying that the Obamas don't want power or never wanted power. They obviously were really big politically for a while. They still are. But Michelle Obama made it a key point that she does not want the spotlight. If Michelle Obama wanted to run for president, she'd probably beat Trump by 10 points. But she has made it a point to say, I do not want to be in the public light. So that's just interesting.
Inside the convention hall. And the uncommitteds the uncommitteds are a group of people who have decided that they hate Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because they won't just side with Hamas already. They actually formed a human...
Yeah, it's that simple, right, Ben? Very, very simple. It's about being pro-Hamas, of course.
...human chain inside the DNC last night in an attempt to prevent delegates from getting down to the floor.
Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now.
So it turns out they can't sing or understand basic politics. Vivek Ramaswamy then went outside, a former presidential candidate. He went
basic politics. Okay, I don't care what your opinion is on anything in the world at all. I don't care about any opinion you might have. If you take a foreign policy situation such as Israel-Palestine, all right, and if you say that it's simple politics, whoever that person is that says that, you cannot trust them with anything. You should not trust that person. Any foreign policy matter is complicated, and this is the most complicated of almost any foreign policy matter in history. So like anyone that says to you, oh, it's simple politics, anyone making it sound that dumb, and obviously with all the other arguments, I'm not a foreign policy expert, but with all of Ben Shapiro's domestic arguments, you could see he's bullshitting with literally everything.
And outside the DNC, where he was effectively physically assaulted by all the protesters that Joe Biden says has a point.
Right now you're outside the DNC, but
That's
you
right.
just came from somewhere else. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so that was outside of the protests, outside the DNC. It was pretty wild.
Racists go home! Racists go home! Racists go home!
But I wanted to, first of all, show up because I believe in practicing what I preach. I believe in free speech. Whether or not you agree with me, whether or not you like me, you have the right to speak your mind.
Why does he do the Trump impression? That sounded so much like Trump. Whether or not you like me.
I believe in free speech. Whether or not you agree with me, whether or not you like me, you have the right to speak your mind as long
He's
as...
so fake. He's such a cartoon. Like, he has done so many acting classes and so much preparation to try to sound like Donald Trump. Him and JD probably went through the same course. I know they knew each other in Ohio, and they were like best friends. They probably went through the same process of, you know, how to become a right-wing populist academy or whatever. And they both suck at it because it's so unnatural for them and it's not authentic at all, so they're not good at it. But it's so blatant that he's trying to copy
it's
Trump
peaceful. There. I don't know what exactly happened at the end there. One of my favorite exchanges was, first of all, buying with U.S. dollars, although they accept Venmo as well. Some of this communist literature from this guy. Communist, the party of the next American Revolution, has been founded. Kind of interesting.
Will you actually read it?
Yeah, I plan to. I mean, yeah, I don't know about cover to cover, but I'll take a look at what he has to say.
Okay, again, this is what's happening outside the convention, and the truth is that is the spirit inside the convention. They're just hiding it. It's all...
Yeah, when Kamala said that we're gonna, you know, increase the corporate tax rate to 28% instead of 21%, although it was at 35% under Obama and Bush, I'm pretty sure. That's communism. When Kamala says we need an opportunity economy and says we need to build houses to let the free market solve the housing crisis and lower housing costs, when she says free market, she's actually like lying. And all the billionaires on stage with the Democrats talking about free markets, you know, the representative from like American Express, the governor of Illinois, all of them are also talking about communism, of course. Like, this is so unserious. He's not connecting any pieces either, because if he connects any pieces and tries to follow things logically, he'll lose his audience, because for one, they don't want to think logically, and two, someone thinking logically would not agree with these opinions.
All a lie. We'll get to more on this in a moment. First, have you noticed big tech companies right now are trying to masquerade as privacy companies? So that's not really how they work. See, here's the thing. Big tech literally feeds on your information. They release a feature now and then.
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm sure that the right-wing American populist networks never collect information. 100%. Very, very interesting insight. These are long ads for a short video.
VPN.com/Ben Shapiro Show to learn more. It's all a lie. Platitudes, bumper stickers, and tiny American flags for all. That is the shtick. That's the shtick. And they gloss over that with some celebrity. And they gloss over that with a bunch of talk about how Donald Trump's a big meanie who's super mean and orange. And then they expect you to vote for them.
No, we talked about how Donald Trump tried to do a coup on the United States government, which you agree with. Like, Ben Shapiro agrees that Trump tried doing that. But his argument was, you know, Trump wasn't successful, so we're not scared again. If Trump tries to coup the government again, it's okay if my political side wins. That's what Ben Shapiro said. And there's 50 other things that we said about Donald Trump killing the border bill, wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare, although he's lying about it. You know, every single budget Donald Trump passed wanted to cut those programs. I know he walked it back now, but that's what he wants to do. That's what he's going to do. bragging about killing Roe v. Wade, saying everyone wanted it. Everyone wanted to kill Roe v. Wade. Democrats, Republicans, everyone. You know, we talked about a lot of stuff about Trump. It's not just being a big meanie. It's about being anti-democratic, like dictator wannabe who only adores like Vladimir Putin, the Prime Minister of Hungary. Is that Orban? He pretty much, you know, sucks up to every single dictator in the world. And they know that he's stupid. They know Trump's stupid. So it's bigger than just Trump bad. Trump's also very dangerous and dumb, and he's trying to call for a civil war and a race war and a world war. Like, Trump is pushing for all of this violence, and Trump is actively pushing for bad things because Trump knows that he lives in chaos and thrives in chaos. Okay, Ben.
For that. The question in this election is, are you stupid? That's the question in this election. It's not about Kamala Harris. It's not about Donald Trump. It's, are you a stupid person? Because they think you're stupid. They think you're so stupid that you are just...
Okay, now he's in the convince you why you're mad thing. I'm going to convince you that you're mad. Here's why you're mad. And also, they're stupid. He does this every video now. I think I cracked the code. I think I found out the code. He does it now. He does the whole thing. He does the whole Charlie Kirk right-wing populist thing. He dropped the, you know, pretending to care about facts and logic or whatever. Now he's just saying, they are stupid. They are stupid, making funny voices. They said orange man bad. Somehow Ben Shapiro makes worse arguments than the ones he says the left makes. Like, he's literally doing the thing he's attacking the left for. And the left isn't doing that, but he is doing that. The hypocrisy is amazing.
Just going to bow down before a candidate because of her intersectional qualifications by pretending that she has no record and no positions. Are you dumb enough to believe the Obama 2.0 lie? Now, here's the thing. You could have believed the Obama 1.0.
Wait, the intersectional part, Kamala did not mention being a woman or being a person of color once in her speech, I don't think. Kamala's making an effort to be the anti-Hillary candidate, where her identity and Kamala isn't what matters. Everyone else matters and the country matters. That's Kamala's message. So bringing up intersectionalism again in this, basically saying DEI, basically calling, you know, Kamala a dumb black woman. That's what Ben Shapiro is doing right now. In doing that, he is being the one who brings up race, just like we've seen. You know, the Kamala campaign is not going to bring it up, but JD Vance will, Trump will, you know, Charlie Kirk will, Ben Shapiro will. They're the ones talking about race all the time now. And we're reversing the whole social justice warrior thing. Now they are the crying, you know, losers crying about their white identity politics.
2.0 lie, because it was the first time somebody had tried it. After all, Barack Obama campaigned as a great unifier. No red states, no blue states, just the United States. And he was a historic coming together of black and white in his very own personage. And then it turned out he was a radical leftist.
Okay, there's a reason Ben Shapiro went to theater school, but never had a chance to actually work in theater. I think it's pretty clear. He's not very good at
Tried it. After all, Barack Obama campaigned as a great unifier. No red states, no blue states, just the United States. And he was a historic coming together of black and white in his very own personage. And then it turned out he was a radical leftist, a Chicago machine politician who had lied about all of his supposedly moderate beliefs and then flipped them at the first sign of power. And so when you come about it the second time, and
Obama's healthcare plan was literally the Heritage Foundation's healthcare plan with a public option attached that he dropped to get it passed. It's wild. The world is wild. These arguments are insane.
It turns out that you have a not particularly gifted politician who's failed upward every step of the way and now has been elevated into a nomination that she did not earn any step of the way. But she has a very long record as the vice president of the United States right now. Are you stupid enough to believe that she is a blank screen upon which you can project all of your hopes and dreams? Are you stupid enough to think that? Now, listen, I get it. If you hate Donald Trump enough and you just want to vote against Donald Trump, all right, nothing I can do for you. But if you are a quote-unquote undecided voter, or you're somebody who prides yourself on actually caring about policy, if you love what Biden's doing, fine. Just say it. Just say you love what Biden's doing, and that's fine. I get it. But don't pretend Kamala Harris is anything different than that, because that's exactly what she is, only more so, and she's a liar about every single one of her policy positions.
Very bold to make zero policy arguments and then end on this, by the way.
All the time, forever. So if you fall for that, I don't have to call you except for an idiot. You have to be dumb to fall for that. Again, that's not every Kamala Harris voter, but if you're somebody who's actually sitting there like, maybe she is a moderate. Maybe she is a great unifier. Maybe she is an inspirational figure who has sprung up as of this very moment.
What did Trump do to earn anything in Ben Shapiro's mind? Kamala has a long record as a prosecutor. They talked about it with like sex crimes that she helped prosecute, child sex crimes as well. She had a long career doing many difficult things. And Ben Shapiro has said before she slept her way to the top. That's literally them saying, you know, it's a woman. We don't like that she's in power. We don't like women very much. But failing upwards is the defining term of Donald Trump's life, bankrupting so many companies, being handed like a $500 million inheritance, actually losing money when it comes to what he was given at birth, essentially. Trump's entire life has been failing and just being an actor, doing a reality TV show. I don't know how you can ever think about something logically and put Kamala and Trump next to each other and make a brazen statement like Ben Shapiro is doing right here that you are dumb if you vote for Kamala. You are dumb if you understand that she's a better candidate than Trump, even just by the fact that Trump is an insurrectionist who tried doing a coup on the U.S. government. That alone should get anybody who cares about the Constitution. Trump has talked about burning the Constitution, but that alone can get you to vote against Donald Trump. And it's not about hating Donald Trump. You don't have to hate someone. I don't hate Donald Trump. I don't care about him as a person. I know that he wanted to coup the U.S. government. I know he's still lying about the election. I know he lied about AI crowd sizes. I know he got called out on it and still said, I can't tell you I can't tell you who was or who wasn't there. Donald Trump is a pathological liar, all of that stuff. There's a lot of reasons other than that, policy-wise, that Donald Trump sucks. But stop acting like everyone's just mad at Donald Trump after going on a 6-minute rant and the other days of the DNC convention and other months of the year, going on a 50-minute rant saying Kamala bad. Literally just saying Kamala bad. Don't do that and then claim everyone's just saying Trump's bad. Because they're not. We're making actual points. And pretty extreme points if you care about the Constitution. Or anything that this country ever stood for. If you do care about that, then Donald Trump should never get near the Oval Office. I don't care who you vote for. Any president in American history would be over Trump. Because of that defining moment where Donald Trump revealed he's an authoritarian, dictator, wannabe, fascist. He will use our worst emotions and instincts against one another. That's enough. And by the way, he sucks on policy, but we're not going to get to that right now.